Leah Green will be receiving the Hyperactive Award. This is given annually to the junior whose involvement in the chapter is like none other. She goes above and beyond for the call of duty and does so willingly and graciously. Leah truly goes above and beyond for her role as philanthropy chair. Her passion for Make-A-Wish is contagious and has motivated our members like never before. We have a newly established goal of granting one wish, equivalent to $10,000, and we are well on our way under Leah's leadership. The difficulties of this pandemic have not limited her, but instead inspired great creativity. I can say firsthand that Leah is someone you can turn to for any help you need and is willing to support and lend a hand to all our members. Jackie Westbrook will be receiving the Madge B. Lampton Award. This goes to the senior who shows the utmost loyalty to the chapter and the college. She has achievements in scholarship and intellectual maturity and her high caliber of service throughout the years, both to the chapter and the school. Over her 4 years within Chi Omega, Jackie has shown loyalty to our chapter like no other. She's become an influential role model for sisters in every grade. Jackie is eager to help in any way she can, taking another little in as a senior, painting countless banners and letters, and gracing us with her beautiful voice whenever we need someone to sing. We are truly lucky to have Jackie singing Shades at the end of this and not me. Katie Stevenson will be receiving the Best New Member Award. This is given annually to the new member who put forth great efforts during her first year as Chi Omega. She shows potential for the chapter as a leader. Katie is an essential member of our chapter. Joining as a sophomore, she has truly immersed herself into our chapter with her bubbly and hilarious personality and bringing so many smiles to all our sisters. I'm excited to see what Katie does next in Omicron Beta and William and Mary. I have high expectations for her as a leader. Thank you for your attention, and for all the chapter members, thank you for your strength and commitment to Chi Omega and community during this time. Also, congratulations to all the women who received these awards.
Thank you so much, Maddie, and congratulations to all the women of the chapter who are recognized today. Our next speaker was elected unanimously in 2018 to serve as the 28th president of the college and is the first woman to hold said position. In her time as president, she has already created the college's first long-term sustainability plan, shaped William Mary's strategic planning, and spearheaded the university-wide approach to diversity and inclusion. It is my pleasure to introduce you all to President Catherine Rowe.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Good evening, everybody. President Cullen, alumni, distinguished guests, and students, thank you for inviting me to celebrate with you. 100 years. 100 years since the first Greek organization for women was established at William and Mary. What a wonderful reason to be together. I had a beautiful Caio ferry leave me a wonderful mug earlier today, and if others have a glass later on at the end of my remarks, I thought I would raise this mug to you with a toast. This milestone coming in this year calls us to reflect with pride and to look forward with hope. This is a moment for taking stock. You've heard that in the remarks so far. It's also a moment for seizing the potential of the resilience and the grit and the mutual commitment and respect we found in William and Mary over such a difficult year. Many of you know that Chi Omega Centennial falls in the midst of a decade of anniversaries at William and Mary. Just listen to these for a moment. The 50th anniversary of the first African American students in residence, the centennial of coeducation. This year, the Asian Centennial at William and Mary. After that, the tercentennial at the Brackerton Indian School. Beyond that, the centennial of Phi Beta Kappa and 2026 of our country. Each of these milestones invites us to reflect, why does community memory matter? For the sake of what is it that we commemorate as we do today? It's a richly layered question for a 328-year-old institution. A quote by historian and current executive director of the Jamestown Yorktown Foundation, just around the corner, Christy Coleman, helps us answer it. Ms. Coleman states, "History really is about us, what we choose to value, what we choose to hold dear, how we choose to make connections and build community. Anniversaries like this call us with humility and with so much gratitude to acknowledge all those who make us who we are and who made us who we are today. We remember all those on whose shoulders we stand, who lifted us up, parents, mentors, sisters, philanthropists, trailblazers who came before us. Thinking back over the past century, we can each name significant moments and significant leaders of change whose efforts made William and Mary more of what we value today. When the first women students arrived just over 2 years before Chi Omega was established here, they moved fast then. They had to. When these students stepped on a campus, they weren't setting out to be pioneers. They were setting out to study. And that was a radical thing to do. As they seized that radical opportunity, they paved the path forward for each generation of women who followed by forging bonds like the ones that this sisterhood has forged. They made it easier in that way for those who followed. A second, more recent example of transformation comes from my first days at William and Mary. I had the privilege to participate in the dedication of the Integrated Wellness Center. This center created an extraordinary physical landmark in the heart of campus for well-being. It was incredibly exciting for a new president to clip that ribbon. Past and present students and colleagues have sharpened William & Mary's focus on wellness for years, and this was a moment when it really came forward in a way that amplified it as a value for the whole institution. I want to pause here to acknowledge two of the giants for whom that center is named. Bea McLeod, a Chi Omega alumna, and Goody Tyler, her husband, are our wellness champions at William & Mary. Their work, their generosity affirms what we know well from research, that well-being is so critical to creative thinking, to analysis, to problem solving. Student wellness ambassadors from the center spread the power of reflective practice as part of a holistic approach to wellness at this university. So in every way, Bea, who we lost shockingly last year, and Goody, in every way their generosity makes it easier for those who followed, freeing the creativity, the grit, the critical thinking of the student body. Well-being frees us to become change ready, preparing us to move from reflection to vision to action, as many of the speakers today have already described. And I just want to pause on that phrase, change ready. Some of you will know as you hear it. Of course, that's a phrase that's much on everyone's mind today, but I'm borrowing it from Beth Comstock, another Chi Omega alumna. I hope you can hear me weaving the wisdom of this sisterhood into my remarks today. In her book, Imagine It Forward, Beth writes, "We must become change ready. That is fearless, perpetually ready to re-envision, rethink, and redesign whatever we do, wherever we are, whatever we are. You must give yourself permission to imagine a new future and act on it." She gave the same permission to new William & Mary students in her 2019 convocation remarks. And just a few months later, we were swept into forced change by pandemic. Giving ourselves permission to change in ways that advance what we value is incredibly important right now, as we can begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel of pandemic. We have been in a moment of incredibly rapid transformation nationally brought on by COVID-19. At William & Mary, we've learned that we can transform ourselves in ways we would never have believed possible. Right now, at this moment, we're thinking in just a few weeks, that we're going to have an in-person commencement for our seniors and that we will be able to have family members there, a small number. We have reimagined commencement in 6 different events so that that's possible. And the staff and faculty and administrative leaders who've done this, my colleagues, have done it because they've known we can make the change we need to be able to come together in the ways that we value. I want to credit the leadership of our sororities and our fraternities here at William & Mary for getting us to this place and this moment of imagining forward. They have been so critical to our success in our pandemic response this year, adapting, engaging the membership, all in for our Healthy Together commitments. Katie, Madeline, everybody who's spoken today, I want to thank you for that leadership. And to all the alumni on this call, I want you to know that this chapter embraced the changes that were needed this year. They did it in a way that should really make you proud. These are such worthy human beings to be your legacies. Now, we know that many have lost much during the pandemic, but what I'm going to remember myself from it is the way in which leaders from across the William and Mary community stepped forward to take care of our community. We've learned that we can act together decisively, even in the face of tremendous uncertainty. We can transform in a swift and principled way in the service of our mission. And we've shown massive competence as a community in that process. So we're turning our attention back to strategic planning this spring with that new knowledge and that confidence. The strategic priorities that we set out are going to guide us in pandemic. So I'm thinking about the brain trust on this call right now. As you mark the milestone of a century for CAIO, all the CAIOs here, I would love to invite you to, as the human beings you are, with the knowledge of this institution that you have, to join us in that planning process. Read the white papers that the planning committee has crafted on each of our mission areas. Send us your thoughts and your vision, and I'll make sure that you have the link for that. Keep imagining it forward. Keep imagining and giving ourselves permission to be change ready for the next 100 years. In her 1898 address to the National American Women's Suffrage Association, the amazing Mary Church Terrell gave a beautiful vision of how progress can be achieved by a community of women. This is what she said: "Lifting as we climb, onward and upward we go, struggling and striving, and hoping that the buds and blossoms of our desires will burst into glorious fruit ere long." Leadership happens in this way, everywhere where someone calls others in to invest in those who follow. You heard President Cullen talk about uplifting others just a few moments ago. That's the verb. Lifting as we climb is what sisterhood is about. I know that CAIOs recognize this because I've seen that spirit in you everywhere I've met you. It's such an honor to be celebrating that spirit and imagining its next 100 years. So to all the CAIOs here, to Katie and Madeline, who brought me this wonderful mug, let me toast you. It's just got water in it. It's a little early in the day, but I'm toasting you with all my heart. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for giving us your time today, President Rowe, and celebrating this event with us. It's now my pleasure to welcome our two alumni co-chairs of Centennial, Beth Salakoven, class of 83, and Wynn Whitehurst, class of 69. Beth and Wynn have worked tirelessly over the past 2 years to document our chapter's history and bring together alumni from all generations. Thank you to both of you for your hard work. It is my pleasure to welcome you both to the stage.